Welcome to Real Estate on the Rocks, where you get top shelf real estate conversations served straight up, never watered down. Here's your host, Dave Snowberger.
All right, everybody, welcome back to Real Estate on the Rocks. Today we have another special treat for you this week. It looks like we're going to have Roger Hare in the studio. Woohoo, from the Hare Group here in Austin, Texas. Real quick, we are joined by Alicia Hooper. We got Marshall Tucker over here in the co-pilot seat, and behind the glass over there, we got the new guy, James Mendez. Yeah, we're doing horrible on our sound effects, but one of these days we're going to save up for a sound effect machine. But
please give us 5 stars.
Yeah, instead Marshall brought a smoke machine. So, all right. So, Roger Hare, what is up, buddy?
Man, I'm just happy to be here. Glad to be in great company, and other than that, just trucking along every day. Making the best of every moment.
Right on, right on. Well, I've when I joined this office over here and started running into you a lot, I would go back to my office and say, man, if you guys don't know Roger Hare, you need to get down there and have a conversation with him.
Jeez,
straight up real estate conversations, good conversations, conversations from the heart, and talk about real stuff and high level stuff. And I've appreciated every conversation we have. So today I want to lead into that and really kind of dig a little bit deeper so our listeners can find out who you are, how to send you referrals, and just kind of, learn from you. So Absolutely. Tell me a little bit about yourself.
Well, first off, I really do want to acknowledge what you just said. It is about co-creating the experience, and it takes the other person involved to have that great conversation. And Dave, you've always approached me in a way that's brought that out of me. So that's a true reflection of who you are too.
I appreciate that.
Nice.
And so, So a little bit about myself. My wife and we started real estate about 6 years ago. We had moved to Austin originally, thinking that we'll start a small business, a restaurant. We got into the restaurant field, specifically got into a food truck, and the last year we had it open. Actually, I had closed it. I think about 7 years ago. Ran it for 2 years, and it's probably about that anniversary now. I'd just finished South by Southwest, serving I think 10,000 people in the short 2 weeks that it was up for. So we're serving about 5,000 people a week, and we're putting an order out the window every 30 seconds. I've never been in the business before, but just that appetite to have a little bit more of the pie, a little bit larger piece of the pie, kind of kept us hustling that way. And then one day Rosie came up to me. She said, dude, I think I'm all out of recipes. I don't think I'm doing this food truck thing anymore.
What kind of food was the food truck?
It was Indian food.
Indian.
Oh,
Yeah,
nice.
well, I'm Indian descent, and so
Thought you just had a really great tan.
yeah, I know, right? It's a secret. Most
The
people
Hawaiian
don't
shirt
know.
threw me off. I was like, look at this guy.
Yeah, with my selection of music and my clothing and my. You'll hear some Indian tunes come from my office now. It's kind of tripping me out because when I started real estate, it's the aggressive stance that you're coming from, right? Like you're putting on your hardest rock or your heavy metal, and you're like, I gotta make a few calls. And so a lot's happened in those 6 years.
All right. So tell me, when you started out, it was just you and Rosie. You came in kind of as that husband-wife team?
Yeah, we came in, husband-wife team, and we thought we were originally going to be running two different, you be an agent and I'll be an agent, and let's see what we could come up with. Right. And so we'd both head out our each own direction every day and come back in the evening and see what we kind of caught. But it seemed like that wasn't a great use of resources, and we didn't realize that until we had a coach who we were Skyping with, and he just saw the dynamic in the room and was like, hey, why don't you take one part, and why don't she take one part, and why don't y'all come together that way? And so that was very revealing and helped us launch our career.
Right on. Now, Rosie Hare, that's another person right there that I hadn't met you yet. I actually wasn't a part of this market center yet. I was a part of a different Keller Williams that was across town and a little bit smaller market. But I had come over here one day for a labs and with the whole Keller Williams tech training, and we sat here and I had never met Rosie before. However, I just kept seeing someone stick their hand up, and then she was getting passed over a few times, and then they called on her, and the question she asked was like so in depth, so articulate, and just like, man, I want to know that also, It's just kind of like, and by the time we all went to lunch or caught a break, like I made sure to grab my things and kind of sit behind her so I could hear kind of her conversations going on, because I mean, that's really how I've learned a lot of this real estate stuff, is absorbing. what smart people around me are doing, and her conversations and her questions. I mean, she really knew to ask questions to stump the tech guys, and it was awesome. And they were just kind of, they look at each other and like, I don't know, we'll get back to you. Right. Get back to you, and she'd raise her hand again, and you see those guys like, oh no, yes,
exactly.
She'd ask the question again, he's like, you can take it, bro.
Yeah.
And so like, that's a great question. We'll get you back, and we'll have you down to a lab. I mean, that earned her, I'm sure, an invitation down to the Keller Williams International down here, saying, hey, come down here and ask these questions to the guys that are developing this stuff. Those are the type of questions you're asking right now.
Yeah, so, literally, it was like six of us in a room with Rosie, and I got to tell you, man, she's put me out in front of so many things that I normally wouldn't have been a part of. She's put me in coaching relationships that have made me literally feel like somebody was physically stretching my body. Like I never knew, they say you got to stretch a little to grow. Holy cow, man. I felt like I was on a table with leather straps. Yeah. So she's done that to me, Mom. Right?
That's how he feels every morning.
Yeah, exactly.
Fantastic. So how many people do you have on the team right now?
There's total 7 of us, and but 3 producing agents, 2 ISAs, including myself. I'm still in that position, and then a VA and a office manager.
Okay. So virtual assistant, then your office manager.
Yeah.
Cool. And then the ISA, you say you're still in that role. Is that somewhere you kind of intend to stay? You're just more lead generation right now, bringing in quality leads to the team?
I think so, because something transformational has happened in the last year. I think what I've always wanted to do is I wanted to be hands off, not knowing really, I hadn't defined what that meant for myself. I hadn't defined like, where's my role? Where am I going to be moving towards? And a lot of the times, the position we're moving into doesn't exist. So we have to start creating it before we take that leap forward and out of that position. So, in addition to that, I'm finding a lot of peace with my work. Like, I think it's something that I always wanted to do, was just like get out of production or move on to the next thing, And but there's just something spiritual about the work. It means something to me right now, and so doing it every day kind of has taken on a new meaning.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's beautiful.
Okay, so let's.
It's really strange.
Yeah,
I'm a guy who bumps like gangster rap.
Yeah,
and I'm listening to the hardest gangster, want to rob your house. But now it's like I'm gonna have to be in my zen.
Yeah.
And that's really crazy. That's just spooky to me. But it's a good thing I'm taking on. Change is good.
Yeah. Always.
Change is good.
Always. Change for the better is good.
Yeah.
Any change is really good.
Yeah.
So
it's inevitable.
If you wouldn't mind, can you walk me through one of your days? I mean, what time do you get, what do you got going on before you get to the office?
Yeah.
Kind of what's that look like for you? Is it, wake up, I do this, I do that, and then walk me through a day?
Oh, cool. That's awesome. I'd love to do that. So I'm really actually excited about life. So excited that sleeping is, like when you tell your kids to go to sleep, they just they don't want to, right? And I feel like something's happened. It's taken me back in time in that point. And so I'll go to sleep at like 11:30 at night and wake up at 3:30 in the morning, and then from 3:30 till about 4:15, just kind of getting showered up, getting kind of settled and ready and everything else for the gym, getting my gym clothes on, getting all that, and then meditating for about 30 minutes, and getting to the gym about 5 o'clock. I'll try to eat a little, like an apple or something, or a little fruit to kind of get some sugar. I don't even know how the chemistry of the body works. I think if I eat an apple, it's going to give me some energy to burn off. I have no idea how that works.
It's working.
It's working. I'm happy. So I get to the gym about 5, and I'll work out for an hour, and it's 6 o'clock. And then at that point, I feel like I've lost my whole day, like I'm running behind. Right?
Yeah.
Like I'm waking up at 3:30, and at 6 o'clock, I feel like I'm behind. And so I'm scrambling, I'm getting everything ready, and then I'm running out of the house. And I get to the office about 7:30, and then immediately get on the phones on the expires and withdrawals. And then from there, I get on the expires and withdrawals, and then right around 8:15 is where I've shut that down. So like, granted, I come into the office immediately and start making calls, and then 8:15 is where I just shut everything down completely, right? So then I go into the first thing I do, and this is the first day that I actually did it with my staff. We do what's called the 40 breaths. And it's a guided meditation that I walk the whole team through, where they're getting to breathe, and they're getting to realize where they are, who they are. They're centering themselves. They're feeling their presence in the room. I'm feeling their energy. And then I do a guided meditation, and then we do our gratitude daily. So we do 3, what are the 3 things you're grateful for? And then we set the intention for the day. So, what is your day going to look like? And it's so funny, actually, Rosie's the one that kind of caused that to come about, because she was giving me an example about how this guy that we know, who's personal to us, he's a friend of ours, and he just won. But he failed to see that he won. And instead, that whole situation where he was winning in was looking like it was looking completely different out of his eyes. He thought he was losing, like horribly losing, right? And we're like, man, he just doesn't know he's winning. And so and she said something that was profound to me. She said, had he set the intention, he wouldn't be so confused, or he'd be able to see where he's at right now, right? And that dawned on me. I was like, wait, because half of the things she says, I'm like, how does this apply to me? Vice versa, right? And so that's what we do in the morning. We set the intention. What's it going to look like? And then and what the beauty of that is, the intentions that we have, that we leave work with. For instance, like I know so let me just go back for a second. There was a guy who ran a really successful sales program. And I said, how do you run such a successful sales program? And how are your people so running in line with you? This is beautiful what you guys are doing. He goes, because I know what they're going through. I know what energy they're coming in to work with. And I said, I know my people, but I don't know them that well. So, for instance, like this morning, I know my ISA, her intentions are to go home and call her sister-in-law today. I can ask her about how that conversation went when she comes to work tomorrow. It's about, I think, sharing more. I'm also reminded of a conversation that there's no line. We tend to think that there's a fine line in between work and home. The guy says there's no work and home. It's all one thing. If a person is greedy at work, they're going to be greedy with their family. If they're petty about something with their colleagues, they're probably going to be the same way with their family. Yeah. So, whatever you're dealing with, I think there's no gray area. It's all one thing. So getting to understand your people, and then deciding to run with people who are going to be open with you about where they're at.
Yeah.
Sometimes they get the tough guy, doesn't want to kind of open up, and that's compromising, I think.
I can see that. I see that. And that would probably be my role of being the tough guy and not really opening up to my team and things like that. So I'm in a little spiritual moment right now.
It moved.
The shift.
Yeah.
That's good stuff, Roger. I appreciate it.
Yep.
Yeah.
So how was basically let's try to revert back. So what's different now? So how was year one versus how your business is now?
That's awesome. I'm glad you asked that question. When we really think about the recipe for success and we think about what makes somebody successful, I think that's where we get really caught up. We're like, wow, it's my first year. I really need to do things differently. It doesn't matter if it's your first year or fifth year, right? Your routine, your regimen. If you have a top producer regimen, you're automatically a top producer.
Right.
There's no waiting for it to happen. You may have to wait for it to happen, for it to manifest, like the 90 days that you've been working, and now the sales pipeline is opening up and you're winning in that way. And quite honestly, I don't think that a top producer, you can commit to having their schedule and you're automatically a top producer, quite honestly. Mm-hmm. I think I could enter Dallas market and within 90 days be a top producer.
Absolutely.
Doesn't take a lot to be a top producer, in my opinion. So that's another whole different
I love the
story.
confidence.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's really true what he's saying.
Yeah,
I mean, it
for
doesn't
sure.
take much. I mean, gauge a top producer.
Right.
We've looked at the stats of the board before, and we see top producers, and then we see kind of where they fall off. And if we're going by the 80-20, it doesn't really apply to that.
Yep.
So it's really kind of nosedives on that. But what he's saying is, I like that because that's been my mindset coming into this is I am a top producer. I am one of the top teams.
Absolutely.
Well, you didn't win any awards this year. Oh, it's cool. I wasn't after awards.
Right.
I'm after the mindset of a top producer and building the confidence of my team and my people around me.
Man,
Right.
if I got an award, I don't even know what I got one for.
Yeah.
Right. So that's just irrelevant to me because it's last year's number. We got to start all over.
Yeah. Yeah. I've always kind of been like that. It's nice to get the accolades of the little pat on the back, but as soon as you get it, it goes up on the shelf, it goes in the drawer, and it's on to the next one.
Sometimes it can even be demotivating because you think you've already reached where you're supposed to be.
Yeah.
And then try hitting that with that attitude. Mm. So I'll say one thing, man, that I'm living my life by very passionately. 211 degrees, we got hot water. What is the 1 degree difference? 210, 33 degrees, it's no longer freezing.
Right.
It's the 1 degree difference.
I like it. I like it. I like it. What is your main source of business these days?
Main source is referral business. Thank God, man. I hit a wall kind of on my prospecting, so I'm glad that the, seasonality and everything else.
Yeah,
sometimes
for sure.
It's January and you're like, why have I not set as many the appointments I want to? So I'm glad that they're carrying us over with the referral business.
Nice. Let me see. I'm kind of running through some questions that I jotted down for you. We have so much to talk about. I mean, usually the conversations between us just flow, so I always appreciate you just kind of.
Oh, sure.
I ask a question and Roger just enlightens me. It's beautiful. I love it. And,
it just happens.
And I walk away and people walk by and like, man, do you hear that high level conversation they're having? And I get roped into him. I'm like, thanks for making me look good, Roger.
Yeah, dude. I have a lot of fun doing that.
Do me a favor. Share a funny story.
Let's see. Funny story.
Tell us about the door knocking story that James keeps bringing up.
Great. Absolutely. So I heard something years ago, look, it's so funny. Even today, right? I'm training in ISA and if I have the nervous energy within my body, because I'm doing the same work that she's doing, right? Mm-hmm. I can tell where she's at. What's most personal is most universal. So here's a moment where she's getting back on the phone from a break that she just came back from. And I said, hey, let's just call her Angie for now, right? But I said, hey, Angie, you feel that feeling? And she goes, what feeling? I said, that little bubbly, inside like butterflies. Mm-hmm. And she said, yeah, I feel that too. I said, man, we should do something about it. So we did our affirmations, we did our role play. And so this is a while back when I was training her. And then what I realized is that if we come back from all our breaks and we do those two things, we read over this, maybe it's literally 5 different lines. It takes 30 seconds to read. Mm-hmm. And then our affirmations and the whole exercise takes less than a minute. And it's just profoundly impacted me in a way like, oh my God, I can recenter my energies every time. And so what happened in the story I shared with James was where I heard this author speak of the concept like time feeds fear, right? And so he said anytime you take too long to think about something, you're naturally giving yourself all of this, your hormones are kicked in, all of these things are happening, you're in survival mode, all these chemistry is happening inside the body. Well, what if you beat the chemistry to it? Right? You go ahead and take action before you actually allow it to have its full effect. So what I would do is I would literally get out of the car and I would run to the door and knock it because the hard part's over. And I swear, that's the story that still motivates me today.
That is too bad.
I can literally go door knocking with anyone. And I just love the idea of rushing to the door, knocking on it, it's too late. They're coming out, and you're going to have to talk to them.
That's funny. So you still run to the door?
I still run to the door. I still run. I park and get out. People would think, I don't know what this guy's up to.
Taking a
He's
package.
delivering packages, yeah.
He's a porch pirate.
I feel like we should say be careful with that in Texas.
Yeah.
Run to somebody's door.
Well, you said funny story. I had a magnet on my car. Thank you, Alicia, for giving me that. So I had a magnet on my car first week in real estate, right? And this woman, she's not leaving the driveway out of the gas station. And I say, screw this. And I'm just going to go around her. So I go around her. And my wife's number's always been on all of our marketing and advertising because I've always felt like that's a high level conversation. And if they talk about interest rates in the beginning, right? Or if they talk about a certain neighborhood, I'm not going to know anything. I'm not going to know how to answer their questions.
You're like,
I better
Rosie.
route it to Rosie, right? Heck, I don't even know where the option money goes. Let me figure this out. So like in the beginning, you got all of these insecurities. So I put her number on it. Then she gets a call as soon as we get to the office. And the lady's like, you live in Texas, right? And like basically saying I have a gun and I would have used it or whatever, I don't know. And but Rosie got on to me and she said, you're calling this woman and you're apologizing for it. And so I took on the challenge. I said, calling her is going to make my life easier because that's my threshold, right? Calling somebody that wanted to
Shoot you.
It's going to make calling that expired a whole lot easier.
Right?
So I've always thought from that place too. How can I broaden my threshold?
Nice.
Do y'all think that way?
Yeah.
You always got to
Yeah.
remind Dave to not cut people off or run through red lights.
Well, we have a company car that I have branded to our team.
Oh, yeah.
And so one time we were in Round Rock and right outside of Austin, and the light hit yellow, and I was like, I'm going for it. And so I just sped through this intersection, and sure enough, like I get back to my office and the phone rings and I pick it up, and it's just like, I'm calling a formal complaint, and I'm like, okay. How can I help you? And they're like, well, who's ever driving that little red Mini Cooper running red lights? I almost hit you. And I'm like,
oh,
no, you didn't.
No.
And so while we're there, I'm looking at my phone, I see the number, and I pull it up, and it's a realtor.
perfect.
Yeah, and I know exactly who it is too. He's an older gentleman with
Wow.
And the brokerage I used to be with. A nice guy.
People get petty that way.
Yeah, but nice guy. But he was calling in to complain, and he's just like, I want that agent's license number. And I was like, what are you talking about? I was like, why would I give you that? And I was like, and I don't know who checked the car out. I was like, that's a company car. I'd have to go back and look at the logs.
He started to throw me under the bus.
I'm pretty sure it was Marshall, but let me
And I was
check.
like, I'll certainly talk. And it was me driving. So I'm like, I'll certainly talk to that agent. You trust me. Thank you so much for calling me and bringing this to my attention. I appreciate it. I couldn't imagine if you had hit him and what kind of trouble we'd be in. And I just agreed with him. And that's what he wanted to hear, right? But it was really funny to me at the time. I mean, I was just kind of cracking up.
Podcast.
Yeah, I was just
glad you
kind
did
of
your
cracking up. And I mean,
legwork.
that's the thing is that this car, it's got the number on it as big as Dallas, on the side. So what was I thinking? So yeah, I mean the middle finger's got to stay in its place. Can't come out. It's got to stay with its other friends on the hand. Like I can't be doing that kind of stuff. I can't roll down the window and say screw you, mister. And just kind of that stuff. So I feel you on the magnet stuff, and that's when I had that on my truck when I first got started and realized that I couldn't do that stuff, I had to get it off my car.
I bet the story gets better. Did she turn into a client?
Man, I'm going to have to go back and find that number. I don't know. Maybe we can convert
You
that.
never know, right? Cross paths for a reason.
You know, it's so funny. The people that you do business with, and you don't even know where they came from, what happened, and they just, like, you had a little conversation or something. And I had a conversation with Rosie the other day. She said, I don't even know if what I'm doing right now is going to yield any business. Like, she was having to preview some properties for something, right? She goes, I don't know if this is just a lost cause. And I said, Rosie, you know what? This reminds me of the time when I felt that way. I felt like my work was a lost cause. And I stopped and introduced myself at a restaurant or bought gas and talked to the guy on the next pump, and that yielded to a transaction, a sale. Anytime you feel like might get shorted by nature, there's a way to recoup that investment. Just go out and do a little bit more.
Yep. Love
For
it.
sure. For sure. Okay, so you got any questions over there, Alicia? You already put your questions up, didn't you?
I did.
Alicia's got a hot Mardi Gras party she needs to get to. She warned us
I'm
earlier.
hosting a party, so
Oh, very cool, very cool.
I have to bounce.
Yeah.
What is your favorite thing about real estate?
That's a great question. I think my favorite thing about real estate is the opportunity that it provides to the team members, the direct impact, the quality of life that we have an opportunity of experiencing, and the great paychecks that we can earn from the months of hard work that nobody gets to see. But I feel like we could be I feel like everything's there for us to go out and succeed, and I'm just grateful that and the most thing I'm grateful for is when you pick up a number and you call it's a homeowner. Like, there's 200,000 phone numbers I've loaded up, right? Each one of them is a lead. Each one of them is an opportunity, prospective client.
Can I just say something?
Your customers are everywhere, I guess.
So this is like a sidebar because we all have like ADD or ADHD or whatever.
Yeah.
Have you ever done like the Calm app? So you talk about like meditation and stuff. Like I feel like you need to be like on the Calm app. Like your voice is very soothing. Like it's very relaxing. Very yeah.
You will buy a house with
Yes,
me.
you
I think every time he makes a point, we need one of those little triangles in here, like ding.
Guys, I have no idea what's happening. I'm on this journey, this amazing journey of
No,
life.
it's awesome.
And it's so funny that, every day when you work hard on yourself, one day you're going to look back and it's going to be hard to even recognize who you are because you've gone through so much.
Right.
Transformation.
And you were open to change.
Right.
And that's just, that'll cause you to be somebody else.
Well, what I wanted to touch base on a second ago was the fact that, we ask you kind of, that question and you were genuine about it because most of the answers we get is that it's really all about the client.
Yeah.
And they put it in the client's perspective, like, I'm just happy to help people, which goes without saying, I think, a lot of times in this business. And so why we really got in it. But like the ability to, like, what I love about this business is that I can cultivate nothing.
Yeah.
Into a $35,000 paycheck.
Thin air.
I can call a phone call and I can stay diligent in my duties and have a goal set and I can
True.
use everything around me, all those resources to get that person to know me, like me, trust me, and move on down with them, sell their home and then sell them a new home. And that all that came from nothing.
You know why that works for you? And look at that. You're identifying with somebody who creates something out of thin air, right? I really honestly feel like, they have the salesperson crisis, the 90-day cycle. I don't know if y'all guys have heard of it. So every 90 days, the first 90 days someone's in sales, they'll have a major breakdown the first 90 days that they're in sales. And I honestly think that's because we got to go back and we have to identify who do I identify with? And guys, I'll tell you this right now. That's an exercise I do every single day. Along with the gratitude and everything else, who am I? What's my purpose? Because I'll tell you this, I know we're about to close out. When you look at the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, if you look at the apex, the very top of the triangle is self-actualization. If you say, what's life's purpose? What is life's purpose? Why am I here? You're here to find out why you're here.
It's the journey, not the destination.
Yeah.
Ding.
Absolutely love it.
So powerful.
A couple more here real quick. tell the listeners what your one thing is.
My one thing. God, my one thing is when I from the moment I wake up to the time I go to sleep, I used to wake up and look at the world and come from a place of judgment, and not necessarily. I'm a very mellow guy, so I'm not very judgmental and necessarily at all, right?
Right.
Calm down.
And still, I'll tell you this. That where was I going with this? Okay. Dang it. I'm sorry.
That's all right.
The one thing y'all wanted me to leave here with. Yes, exactly. So what I do now is, when I walk into a room, it's not the bald guy or the successful man or the poor woman or the ailing old lady. It's when I look at people now, it's a shift in thought. I don't know what happened, but it's I know who you are, and you are divine. So once we start to see each other as being divine in nature, then we can complement that, what's inside of us. We can be with the divine that's inside of us, right? So, and also realizing that people serve in so many different ways. So that my one thing in the nutshell is to walk into a room and experience the divine energy that we have to offer one another.
That's
quite
awesome.
honestly.
I love it.
Yeah.
Very nice. Very nice.
How that's going to help you sell a home, I have no idea.
It helps me though.
No, it gets you in a room with this crew right here when I've talked about you a little bit here and there, and I mean, I certainly appreciate the short time that we've known each other. The conversations have been substantive, and I mean, just very educating to me, and really helped with my growth. And having these kind of conversations with you, my perspective on life's a little bit different than yours, right?
Yeah, sure.
However, it's fresh to hear your take on everything, and it makes me question, like, man, maybe I need to take a second for myself and slow down my brain a little bit, because I'm always that go, go, go.
Yeah.
And it sounds like you used to be almost the same as a go, go, go.
Man,
I'm
lead generating longer than I've ever have.
Yeah.
I'm on the phones longer. I'm enjoying my work more than I ever have. And I have a sense of peace over me that's not telling me that I need to be anywhere else. So it was a hard thing to accept, dude, because I'm telling you, hard rock and like that, just that whole go, rah, I could be there all day long. And so I felt the hypertension, and I felt the chemistry within my body. And I said, wait, like, I don't think this is my idea of, like, maybe may impede on my longevity.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I won't be around to enjoy it.
Yeah, I'd like to have some more discussions about this kind of stuff, because, I mean, you're enlightening me a little bit to start looking into that, because I am that go, go, go person, and I project that on my team, and a lot of times I know that I can stress them out by doing it. Yeah.
Being obsessed is a great thing. That book, Be Obsessed or Be Average by Grant Cardone.
Yeah.
Like, that's awesome. I love being obsessed by everything. I'll never tell anybody to tone it down.
Right.
And in addition with that, I would say that there's so many ways to go about things. If that truly does fire you up, and that's your primal animal, and that's the beast inside you, and that's your like primitive language, then go with it.
Cool.
Yeah.
Man, you're a genuine dude. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I really, you're a top shelf guy. So I really appreciate you being on the show. We'd love to have you back sometime. Maybe you and Rosie can both sit in.
Yeah,
and we can talk
awesome.
a little bit more in depth and just have fun. I mean,
Dude,
I wasn't really even worried
to.
about the conversations on here. I just took an excuse to hang out with you a little bit more.
Are you kidding me? When I found out, I was so excited. And Rosie and I would love to, because you know what? The one thing that we have, I feel, is so special. We've been married 15 years. I love her more than I've ever loved her before. And it's just growing to a point where I wake up every morning shocked. Like, how is that I could love somebody so much? How is it that I could be on the receiving end of that, right? And we've gone through hell. There's probably very few people that have gone through the type of hell we've gone through together, but we've gone and come back. So it's definitely the hero's journey, if you will, right?
Nice.
The breakthrough, and then the all of the elements there of a good story. So if we can help anybody and in their relationships and their marriage and grow to the next level, we're all about that.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Love it.
We'll do that real quick. How can our listeners contact you?
Yeah, they can contact me directly by phone, 512-796-9395. They can also look me up on Facebook.
Roger Hayer.
Yeah.
How you spell your last name, Roger?
Hayer. Roger, no D.
What is my name?
High S. Roger Hayer. Hayer.
Perfect. Roger, thank you once again so much. We'll have you again as soon as we can. Alicia, we know you got to get going to the Mardi Gras party. Woo woo. Marsha Tucker, James back there behind the glass. I'm Dave Snoberger. We want to thank our sponsor, Mike Harrell, Guild Mortgage. We certainly appreciate it. Everybody listening, if you need us, we're at info@realestateontherocks.com. See you next time.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.